Hi, I'm Molly.
And I'm Jamie, and this is our From the Pasture with Hired Hand podcast. As the owners of Hired Hand website software, we've been developing websites and creating internet marketing strategies for livestock breeders for the past 10 years.
The majority of our customers are involved in the breeding of registered animals, such as Texas Longhorns, Highland cattle, horses, and white-tailed deer, where the pedigrees are very important. The From the Pasture with Hired Hand podcast examines many of the differences in raising pedigreed livestock for maximum profit. Join us and learn what we're covering today. Today we're here with Joe Sedlacek of Lazy J Longhorns in Greenleaf, Kansas. Joe has been breeding registered Texas Longhorns for 23 years. He's also the creator of the Joe shoes, which we'll learn more about in a few minutes. Joe, welcome to our podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Joe, tell us how you got started raising Texas Longhorns.
Well, I got started raising Longhorns by when I was 4 or 5 years old. I always watched every single Western that had Longhorns in it. I didn't care what the Western was about, any movie that had Longhorns at all. And I always wanted Longhorns, and my parents thought they were wild and crazy and would never buy me any. So when I was 15 years old, I finally had enough of my own money to buy a little bull and a couple cows, and that was in 1996. So I started off that way, and it grew from that. It grew just as a fun hobby, and then when later on I was like, I think I could actually make a business at doing this. And when I stopped worrying about other normal jobs, I actually just focused on my Longhorns. It actually turned into a full-time business that I really enjoy.
What drew you to the Longhorns? You said you liked them. Is there something in particular or somebody that had them that sparked your interest?
I don't know. It was just, I guess what drew me most to them was just, they were something different. Well, I grew up with, my dad always raised Black Angus, so there was no excitement because you knew it was a little black calf out there, and it was exciting to see the colors and the different horn shapes, and, the big steers always were a fascination with me, even when I was little. Like, the bigger the horn, the more neat they were for me.
So, Joe, tell us why Longhorns are considered a unique breed, especially for your location in Kansas.
They're definitely unique because, everybody, all my neighbors raise cows with no horns, or they're all, typically in my area, they're all black. Everybody raises black cows. So they're, I'm sure most people laugh at me for raising Longhorns, especially, the ground we own is all farmable. So it could be actually being torn up and raised for good cropland while I'm out here in Kansas raising Longhorns on farm ground. So I know a lot of people think that's probably crazy, but it's definitely fun, and the cows do so well on it that we've done really well with it.
So talk a little bit about how when you say the cows do well on it, like some people may not know, that Longhorns are bred for, surviving harsh conditions and ease of birth and that sort of stuff. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the one big difference I noticed from raising Angus or just a commercial breed to ours is they eat every single type of grass in the pasture. And like with my the fence line between me and my neighbors, we had when we first moved here, we had tons of brush. And now when you look at the property, mine looks like I took a brush hog out there and completely mowed off the brush. Well, his side is still blooming with brush on his half, and there's like a half circle that's completely gone that's on my side. So I love the browsability that the cattle have. And in the middle of calving season, I just look out the window and see the new babies born. I don't have to go out there every 30 minutes and check my heifers and have to pull calves. And we've only had one calf in 23 years that we've had to help, and it was with a heifer that the calf came backwards. So that would happen in any breed. So one calf in 23 years is a pretty good percentage of not having to pull calves.
For sure.
So,
what do you feel are some of the main differences in marketing registered livestock versus non-registered livestock?
Marketing registered versus unregistered typically your unregistered cattle, 99% of the time are going to the rodeos, which don't pay a whole lot. They're going to, your beef programs, which, there's money to be made in the beef programs, but it's definitely, you're making maybe $100 per, animal, in the hundreds, in the registered. And I feel like it's that dream world type money where you can raise up a heifer and sell it for 17,000 or 25,000 or, that's, I guess I'm shooting for the moon when I'm raising cattle versus just what someone else is getting at the sale barn is all the cattle are worth. So it's not as much fun for sure.
Tell us about some of the marketing tactics that have worked for you. So specifically, if you want to talk a little bit about like if you market your steer herd differently or if you use the same marketing tactics locally as you do, across the nation, let us know a little bit about that.
Mm-hmm. I would say probably what's helped me the best on marketing is too many people try to get such a top dollar for private treaty sales. And you get these new people that are coming and everyone wants to sell them the bull that they haven't been able to sell for the last 2 years to this brand new person. These brand new people typically have never owned cattle before. So now you're selling them a bull, you're selling them cows, you're selling them all this stuff, and it's almost just too much for these people. So what I started doing was selling them little steer calves. That's about the easiest thing you can possibly take care of. You don't have to worry about a bull breeding. You don't have to worry about that bull jumping the fence and getting to the neighbor's pasture. It's something to get people's feet wet in the business before they jump into the whole breeding and marketing and all of that.
So you mentioned steers. You're known for your steer herd. Tell us about how having steers plays into your overall marketing strategy and what it's done for your breeding program.
I guess I chose steers because not a lot of ranches are keeping trophy steers. So besides the fact that they're probably my steers are my favorite animals of the whole breed anyway. But not a lot of ranches were raising them for the top steers. So I saw that there was, it's a supply and demand type of thing, and I thought not a lot of ranches are doing it, so I'm not going to have a lot of competition. Everyone's got bulls for sale, everyone's got cows for sale, but not many people had steers for sale, and especially big herds of steers. And me and El Coyote are two of the biggest ones, and I know like Todd Taylor has a big herd of steers too. And we just started selling some of our bigger steers here and there, and honestly, I've made more money in the steer market than I've ever made in the bulls and cows probably together. So it's a very small market, but everybody knows to come to me for a steer now. So it works pretty good.
Are there certain things that you look for in bulls when they're young, on whether or not you want to take them and turn them into your steer program?
Okay. When we evaluate the young bulls, I've got over 20 years of data measuring young bulls. So when I go to start measuring some of these young bulls from month to month, we have a hard critical line that they have to meet. If they don't meet this growth rate, they automatically get put into the trophy steer program. And then even the trophy steers, they have to be in the top 10% of the trophy steers to ever make it into my trophy steer herd. So culling is a huge part of why we have such good steers too.
So for people that may not be familiar with longhorns or longhorn bulls and, what it takes for them to make it as a herd sire versus a trophy steer, can you give just a little bit of insight into what some of those numbers are that you use as guidelines in your program?
Yeah, when we're measuring bulls, we don't look at, too many people look at a bull and say, okay, he's 50 inches at 15 months. He must be a great bull. We don't care about 50 at 15. What we care about is what did he grow between 15 and 16 and 16 to 17, because that's more important to us than what is his measurement right now? Because if he can grow 3 inches or 3¼ inches a month consistently, then he's going to outgrow the bulls that have an early horn growth and quit growing. So we see that happen a lot in bulls where, they're 40 at 12, but they're only 42 at 13. So that doesn't make sense. They should be growing 3½ inches a month, not 2 inches. So we don't want bulls like that in our program. We want bulls that grow consistently.
You said that steers are your favorite, like they're your favorite out of anything. Why are they your favorite? And then also, is it hard to find buyers? Or I know you said that a lot of people come to you, like you're kind of known for that now, but in the beginning, was it hard to find buyers, or do they pretty much sell themselves?
Yeah, the bigger trophy steers have always seemed to sell themselves. Like I've never, other than Bluegrass, I don't ever really remember sticking one out there for sale. Like I've never had advertised my steers for sale ever. It seems like somebody sees a picture, and I mean, we get over 1,000 people a year come to see the steer herd here. So somebody's seen a picture of somebody's that came here, or it's amazing the word of mouth. So I've always, the upper steers have always marketed themselves. Like I've never had to do a whole lot for that. So that's what makes them really unique. And like I said, the market's very small for that. So it's not like everybody can start doing that, but it is pretty neat that they market themselves with their horns.
For those people that don't know who Bluegrass is, can you tell us why you referred to him?
Yeah, Bluegrass was the steer that really put us on the map, not just in the United States, but like the entire world map. He won the Guinness World Record at the age of 8, and then he also broke his own record at 9 and 10. And then we sold him in the Hudson Valentine sale in Fort Worth, and he sold for $48,000, which broke the all-time record. Previous record was only $15,000 for a steer. So we've had people from London, Czechoslovakia, just all over the world come here and see him before he sold. So he definitely put us on the map. His YouTube following was over, I think, 4 million hits on YouTube. So he was definitely world famous, which really put the Lazy J name out there for the whole world too.
Do you have anybody else that's following in his footsteps?
Yep. Actually, Bluegrass was kind of a benchmark for all of our steers. So the only way we have what we call an A herd and a B herd, and the only way you get into the A herd is you have to be growing faster than Bluegrass at that certain age. So, and we don't keep steers, like if we have steers born in 2013, we don't keep a steer that's not as good as another steer in 2013. So by that culling process, my entire top 25 steers are all better than Bluegrass at that age. So we got some pretty neat ones coming up.
Love what you're hearing? Be sure to check out our Pickup Truck Confessions.
It's a video series where we hop in the truck or rental car and interview a variety of breeders about what drives their passion for their livestock, how they got started in the breed of their choice, marketing tips, and more.
And now, back to the podcast.
So switching gears a little bit, Joe, let's talk a little bit about sales and marketing. So what advice do you have to give to other breeders or other people looking to get started and grow their business through private treaty sales?
The best thing I can say for people to make more private treaty sales is when you make that sale or you're getting close to making a sale, it seems like 9 out of 10 times the person wants to buy until the delivery process. And so what I try to do is make that process easier for people. A lot of times it's me delivering, and if it's me delivering, you're never getting charged for delivery. So I would say try to deliver your own sold animals. If it's you showing up, delivering that animal to the person, and they don't have to find a hauler, they don't have to pay a big expense for the hauling bill, those people are going to be a lot happier, and they're going to come back and buy from you. So that would be the greatest asset for private treaty.
Is there anything that you do locally?
Locally, no. Locally, honestly, we don't do a whole lot of advertising because you're kind of preaching to the choir of the Angus Association. So we don't really sell very much locally. All my business is outside of the state of Kansas. So that's why I'm on the road a lot and, always delivering somewhere. So that's why we don't do too much within our little surrounding area.
Mm-hmm. Is there something that works now that didn't work a few years ago, or something that did work a few years ago that doesn't work now?
What do you think? Well, I would say on semen sales, I feel like have completely changed. Selling conventional semen, I feel like is almost impossible anymore with the heifer sex semen out there. So marketing our bulls now and selling heifer sex semen has been huge compared to semen sales a few years ago. It's like you spend all this money to get your bull collected and you barely sell any semen. I feel like that would be one marketing thing that I didn't feel like went very well. Selling semen is, I think, one of the hardest things to do. So we changed and sold heifer sex semen, and like our 50 Shades Darker bull, just based off color almost alone, we completely sold out of semen within about an 8-month period. So that was been a good part for us.
So Joe, you've had so much success in Longhorns that you actually created a product to fill a need. Tell us about the Joe Shoot and how it got started.
All right. Well, the Joe Shoot got started because I've used almost every single kind of Longhorn shoot that was out there, and they're all good in their own ways. And for probably the first 12, 15 years, I used those products, and it was always like I would always change this. I would want to change this or this, is what I kept telling myself. And it wasn't until we really started pushing bigger trophy steers that the trophy steers just do not fit in those other brands of shoot. So as we started getting closer and closer to actually having a Guinness World Record, and that's something I had dreamed of since I was little, and even before having Longhorns. So when we got closer to that, I'm like, I have got to get something safer for a big trophy steer. So I started drawing stuff out, and I worked with a local welder to build what was in my head, and first we were just going to modify something, and he came out and he's like, let's just start from scratch and build exactly what you want. So we kept tinkering with it. We built something. I used it, and I kept changing stuff until we finally felt like I had something that was, it was going to work in my mind. Well, I never planned on selling them. And then the more and more people that would come to the farm, they would come to the satellite horn showcase measurements here at the farm, and everybody wanted to shoot. And I thought, well, we could try to sell them, but we won't sell very many. And I think once we started selling them, we sold 80 the first year. And then I believe we just broke 200 shoots in like 2.5 years. So we've sold way more shoots than I ever imagined. But people can use them. They're safer for you, but they're safer for the animal. I mean, that was the whole original idea was, I don't want to put a steer in here that's a Guinness World Record and break his horn. So, our shoots have measured probably more of the longest horn cattle in the world than just about any other brand has ever done. So,
what advice do you have for breeders who are curious as to if they're ready to invest in a Joe Shoot?
When people call me about the Joe Shoot, the first thing I ask is, how many cattle do you have? If they only have 6 or 7 cows, I try to push them away from the Joe Shoot and get into, the other brands are still decent shoots, and they work for your budget. They work for, if you have 7 cows, you shouldn't have to have the biggest, strongest shoot out there to handle those 7 cows. Mm-hmm. So our shoot is definitely built for worst case scenarios. It's made to hold an animal that does not want to be in that chute, and it's going to be safe for you to still be there when this is happening. So, I try to match people with their herd size, their budget size, and sometimes that doesn't always align to me, and I have a whole list of people that have chutes that want to upgrade to a Joe chute. So I'm able to get rid of their old chute, which allows them to get a Joe chute. So it's a circle of life for chutes.
Is there anything else you want to comment on or share with our listeners that you feel they could benefit from?
Well, something else that has been a big positive that I'm surprised you girls did not ask about is my Hired Hand website. I was building my own website for not very much a year, but I wasn't getting a lot of traffic. I wasn't linked to other people's websites. And when I finally made that plunge into getting a Hired Hand website, like, I've never looked back. Being able to have people search progeny across the whole industry, I think it's been huge. And it brings a lot of people to my site. And it's just been, with me on the go as much as I am, it's been really easy I can edit it, change it, do whatever I need to do from my cell phone, sometimes while I'm driving. So, works pretty good.
We're glad you update your website, but we really wish you wouldn't do it while you're driving.
Exactly.
No, we appreciate the kind words.
If you want to learn more about Joe's breeding program or the Joe chute, check out our show notes for his Hired Hand website address and the products mentioned. Are you a fan of our podcast? We'd love a positive review. Log into your Google account and leave us some stars. We'd also love to hear what you thought of today's episode. Tag us on social media or email Jamie and I at info@hiredhandsoftware.com.